Hi, I'm Clinton Surejo,
Hi, I'm Bianca Gomes. We are.
Shor Police.
And we're here with Rolling Stone India. I think our influences are so mixed over the last 2 decades. And it's a mix of retro pop, electro pop, some top 40 stuff, some alternative rock, because those are the kind of bands that we grew up listening to.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a very contrasting individual. Stylistically, we are two completely different musicians, and the fact that we're making music together, you're going to see an amalgamation of all our influences and also the kind of musicians we aspire to be as a duo, both and individually as well.
Okay, for me, it would be a song called Thinking About You, which is sort of like a ballad, R&B, that kind of thing, because I grew up on a lot of like Jill Scott and Alicia Keys and a lot of R&B sort of music. So Thinking About You and Supersonic is also one of my favorites. It kind of reminds me of Janet Jackson in the 90s and the 2000s. I was a big fan, and I think you can see elements of all that sort of stuff in these two songs.
I think for me, one of my favorites is definitely a song called Satellite, and also a song called You Got Me Good. Both of them have a very retro pop, very happy vibe, and that's why I love them. So essentially, we're really happy that we started our own publishing division called Shor Police Publishing, and we just signed us up publishing deal with Real Music Works, which is industry veteran in the field of international rights management, sync licensing, and so much more. They're like really a full-service publishing company based in the US, and they were really interested in Shor Police, in the stuff that we were writing and we were doing. So, as the first phase is definitely us putting our own music out there, and in phase 2 we definitely want to look at publishing some interesting music, whether it's in collaboration with musicians or whether it's just releasing music from those musicians, but essentially showcasing the best that India has to offer. And hopefully with our partnership with Real Music Works, it's a very strategic move in giving English music in India that limelight and that kind of support that has always lacked to some extent. So I think that music publishing is very, very nascent, first of all, in our country. I don't think people even know too much of what it essentially means, but I think that it's getting more and more legs now, and I think that publishing, essentially, it's very, very important. I think maybe like just going back to how important publishing is, I think I was one of the first musicians probably in Coke Studio, India, where I retained my publishing and was happy to have been able to further license those songs, like Maujin, another song that we did together, was licensed for a movie, for a Pakistani movie. And I licensed Madari for a Sunsilk commercial. I did so much with that music, which I would have never been able to do otherwise. I think artists are getting very clued into, what publishing actually means, and really, really happy about that, and really happy that there are so many efforts to make publishing in India actually get more popular with musicians who can actually retain their publishing.
I think indie music is getting so much recognition in terms of like on a global level also, which is so great to see. Whether it's placements or it's festivals, you see indie bands now performing on global stages. In terms of songwriting, it's also been over the past decade. I think it's been really, really interesting, the kind of artists that are coming out of India.
Absolutely, it's been amazing to see so many collaborations with international artists as well, with Indian artists, and I think that's why it's such a great time for us to be doing this. And hopefully the next 5 years we will be operative in terms of creating that change.
Oh, definitely. We're really looking forward to doing these songs on the road. The songs by nature on the album are very strong when it comes to production, but I think it would be challenging to see what it would be like to get a band together and take this on the road.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our band that normally does our regular Bollywood gigs, they are really happy to be performing this material, and they're really excited to be able to take it on the road. So we're looking forward to making that happen.
Well, we've been working on some films. We've been, there's
A lot of films, actually.
a lot of films actually. Maybe we could talk about.
Yeah, so we've signed essentially as a duo, composing on some really, really interesting and well-awaited projects. One of them is Dhoom Dham, which is Aditya Dhal's production house. His production, and it's starring Yami and Pratik. Really cool plot lines and really interesting ideas we were able to do in terms of the songs for that film.
Yeah, so we've got 4 songs.
Yeah, 4
on
songs
that
in that
soundtrack.
film. And then we've got another film called I Love You, which is directed by Nikhil Mahajan, and very, very edgy thriller with Pavel and Rakul Preet. That's another interesting one. Then there's another film called Blind that's coming out, which is again Sujoy's production house, directed by Shor Makija. The songs for that are really some of the best that we personally I feel have we can't wait for people to hear them. So there's a lot happening on that front in terms of films, and also we are going to keep releasing stuff through Tunes Without Borders, our new YouTube channel that's been created in collaboration with Real Music Works for the purpose of our album. But our album is just the beginning. After that, you're going to see a lot of singles. We'll be continuously releasing music that is essentially meant for the West to license, or to essentially give India and give Indian musicians that little bit of exposure.